Hello and welcome to episode number 3 of the Fitness Business Life podcast. Today I'm here with me and man Steve O'Clark. Steve, say hello, mate.
How you doing, guys?
So look, today we're super pumped about today's episode because basically we're going to go back in time and we're going to talk to ourselves probably about 10 years ago and maybe more actually. I mean, if I was 18 again, this is some of the advice that I would dish out to myself on fitness, on business and life in general, and you're going to do the same, mate, yeah?
Yeah, we'll take it one by one and then just go through them one each, yeah?
Yep, let's do it. So we're going to start with fitness, and what would you tell yourself like early on, like in sort of, you're talking to yourself at 18 years of age, and what would be the message that you would give to yourself, knowing the information that you know now? What would you say to that dude years ago?
Years ago, I was very heavy, so I was holding a hell of a lot of weight, and I think in general, I shouldn't have made it as hard as it was. I shouldn't have let myself get to that weight and that size, and I think it was due to like a lack of almost like responsibility. Back then I was in university and stuff, and I was drinking a hell of a lot and taking like takeaways like 3 times a week or whatever. Very social elements whenever you're talking about university. So overindulging and not seeing the responsibility that I needed to take in terms of looking after myself.
Okay.
So from then, I never really had much structure when it came to food, so I hadn't a clue what a healthy meal would have looked like. But if I had just done a wee bit of looking about the internet, alright, there is some poor information out there, but at least having a good look around, I would have had an idea that, fruits, vegetables, healthy grains, carbohydrates, high protein, stuff like that. It wouldn't have been that difficult. I should have just started a lot earlier than I actually did. What about you?
So yours was kind of around, nutrition. Mine's is going to be more sort of aimed at training. I mean, whenever I sort of first got into training, kettlebells was the kind of first thing that I moved into. I know not a lot of people start with kettlebells, but I kind of started using kettlebells, and I followed a man named Pavel Satsuna, right? Now Pavel is an absolute genius, and a lot of what I know today is down to a lot of Pavel's teachings, right? Pavel started out with a company called Dragon Door, and he then moved to Strong First, which I then went on and certified to a few years down the line. But at the start of my sort of fitness journey, I was basically reading everything that Pavel had there. I
that was your Bible?
That was my Bible, yeah, very much, like absolutely everything. And a lot of, the thing is, and what you generally find with people who, I mean, he's a fountain of knowledge, but what you kind of find is that it's his way or the highway.
Yeah. They latch on to one approach.
I mean, he's very knowledgeable across a broad range of approaches, but he can also be very dismissive of some things as well, which I found myself kind of getting drawn into also, so if I was to speak to myself 20 years ago, and I'm just getting into fitness, not that I'm just getting into fitness, obviously, I was boxing from a very young age as well, but I mean, in terms of the gym, right? If I was to give myself a message now, then it's just keeping up in mind. Don't get drawn into what one person says, because that might not necessarily work for everyone. Do you know what I mean? I suppose thinking about it now, it probably worked for me, and that was me probably being selfish, thinking, oh, it's worked for me, and that's just the way it is.
And
but
it should work for everybody else.
It should work for everyone, and we know even when it comes to nutrition as well, what works for one person may not necessarily work for the next. So sometimes just take what works for not just you but for other people, but also keep an open mind to everything else. There's tons of systems out there and tons of ways that you can learn and make yourself better and make the people around you better as well.
Yeah, it's just having another tool to your belt kind of thing.
100%, mate.
Yeah, and suppose like you were saying about the nutrition, that goes hand in hand as well.
Yeah.
You're talking about different approaches. Like at the minute, I'm doing a bit of carb cycling and a bit of fasting and stuff. Like those are two different tools. You don't have to do both at the same time. In terms of training and food, you want things to be sustainable, and you want to enjoy yourself as well. So you don't want to always be dipping into one thing and just restricting everything else.
Yeah. You generally find that as well. Like whenever let's say someone writes a book, just to give you an example, like the Warrior Dad. Of course they're going to promote that type of thing because it might have worked for that person and it might have worked for a large population of people, but that's not to say that you should dismiss everything else. You just need to take it on board, learn from it, and then move on from there.
Yeah, good.
Shall we move on to business?
Absolutely. Yep.
So, yourself, I would say that you are an entrepreneur, and that's probably where you're going to be coming from in this podcast, because you basically, you've started. Well, I mean, you've never actually worked for yourself. You've never owned a business or anything like that, but you've grown within a business, and a lot of the time, the message on this podcast, there will be some people who own their own businesses, but there will also be people listening to this here who are trying to grow themselves, right? So I suppose from let's say the start of your working career, like what would you say to that type of person, or even yourself, looking back, like what advice would you give yourself to grow within a company?
So going back, I would say that I've done a couple of different jobs, and one of the main things that I would advise anybody is to not be afraid to let go of what you're doing at the minute. So I was driving a van and I was an actor for a while, and I've always been on and off singing and stuff, and I was never really afraid to let go of any of those things to go and pursue what I wanted to do in fitness. It wasn't originally my plan. I just got into it to lose a bit of weight and get healthier and stuff, and then I found a passion for it, went down that road. But I think in terms of bettering myself, it kind of goes alongside you want to do whatever it is that you're doing to the best of your ability.
Yeah.
Especially when you're surrounded by people like you and Paddy Joe and the rest of the coaches in here. All those other people are trying to better themselves, so like the mark is always being moved. That everyone within the business, no matter what level, are trying to be better. And if you don't try and better yourself, you'll be left behind. Once you're left behind, opportunities miss you.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like you'll not be the person. You'll always be sitting there thinking, well, why am I not being asked to be doing this, or why am I not in control of this, or whatever? And it's because you're not putting the extra foot forward to go out of your way to make yourself better. And when you make yourself better, you also make the team better. Again, so if I'm better in myself, there may be someone else looking at me who are thinking, shit, I need to catch up with that guy, or I need to put the finger out and get stuck into another book or two, and and it makes the team grow as a whole.
Yeah. So develop yourself to develop a team.
Yeah. What about you? What would you say to yourself? I mean, you've built the business from a small loft into this gym that we're in now. And not only that, you're teaching other people to move on and do the same sort of things that you've been doing. If you were to go back in time and talk to yourself in the loft, what would you say to you?
Those people are pretty lucky, because like I've made every mistake under the sun that you can think of in business. Well, probably the first message that I would give to myself years ago is find a mentor. Someone that's done exactly what it is that you want to do, and learn from them. I think that's a given. Generally that's a given. That's the best piece of advice that I could give anyone. In terms of an actual message, how to go about doing the thing that you want to do, I would say to basically don't get caught up thinking that everything is going to run smoothly. You know, shit is going to go sideways. That's just the reality. Whenever I first sort of started out in business, you know, we were kind of speaking about this here, that you go into a 9-to-5 job. Let's say you're working for someone else, and basically, you know, for the most part, everything is just set. There's a set standard of, you know, when you work, the hours you do, go home, and everything just runs smoothly. But when you operate your own business, you know, you basically you put out fires here, there,
you're
and
taking on all the jobs rather than just the one that you're given.
Yes. Yeah. So basically, what happens is, and for me, you know, I was always thinking, why isn't this a smooth run? You know, why does I can't understand why things just, you know, I make money, I do this, and then we move forward. Like this doesn't make sense.
Because before that, that's what you knew.
Yeah. So, you know, you have this whole messiness, as you could call it, but you're you're given this thing, but then you're expecting something else, and realistically, like, you know, shit has to go sideways in order for you to progress. So probably, you know, I would just say, don't be afraid to allow things to get messy, and then you're gonna, like, it's gonna give you so much more peace of mind as you progress forward. That would probably be the number one piece of advice.
And I'm sure whenever it does get messy and you come through the other side of it, the sense of accomplishment must be unbelievable.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you know, one guy I've had the privilege of meeting him a couple of times, Bedros Keuilian. So, I mean, you know, I listen to Bedros, and he talks about how you grow through pressure, right? Which is like 100%. He always says that, you know, through bad times in business, he just works through them, expecting there to be, you know, some good on the other side.
Yeah.
And you know, today, you know, we both read his book Man Up, and it's just the mindset that I have today, because, like, as a business owner, if you are emotionally reactive, that you know, that falls down the ladder.
Yeah.
Because if I walk in here and I'm a fucking train wreck every single day, what's going to happen to, you know, you guys? You're going to be like, oh geez, what mood's he in today?
Yeah.
And how's this going to go? Do you know what I mean? When you are emotionally reactive like that, and it just comes down to your expectation. You know, if you expect shit to go sideways, then you'll be cool with it. But then if you think that everything's going to go plain smoothly, then you're going to be basically pulling your hair out. So don't be afraid to let shit get messy.
Cool. So going to talk about life then.
Life, yeah.
So we'll go. Well, I was going to say far back. We'll go about 10 years back then. Okay.
Yeah.
So in terms of life 10 years ago, when you're comparing it to now, what would you go back and say to your younger self?
Oh God. Well, I'm saying like 10 years ago, because I still think I'm 30, 20, but you know, I'm 35 now. So 10 years ago, I was actually, you know, we were actually about to get married. So I was in a pretty good place. Do you know? Probably going back a wee touch further, the advice that I would sort of give to myself in my late teens, because I did kind of go, you know, through a period of self-destruction,
right? You
know, for like a number of reasons, and I was kind of just like angry with myself. Like, it might have been, you know, a mixture of just not doing the things with my life that I really wanted to do. You know, I dropped out of school early. I quit boxing, and you know, I kind of just I would say probably just get drawn in with some of the wrong people, and you know, it was a bad environment that I had created for myself.
Would it have been a similar vibe around those people as well? Would they have had the same sort of concerns about themselves, do you think?
No. It was just no. It was probably me.
Okay.
It was probably me, and you know, it was the people that I had surrounded myself with, and you know, it is what it is. We do these things in life, and I was probably just angry, more so at myself, for not achieving the things that I knew that I could have achieved.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean? But I mean, that's just me thinking, you know, everyone's expectations of what I should be doing, you know, is this, and then I expected more of myself, and then, you know, you just have this sort of vicious circle of, and then it just creates something that realistically I should never have gotten into.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean? So, I mean, probably the message that I would give to myself is to stop being so angry with yourself. You know what I mean? Because, you know, and I've said this here before. Basically, where it changed for me was obviously when I met my wife and we had kids, and then I had a bunch of people who basically weren't expecting me to be anything other than myself.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, there's no expectation there of...
There was no expectations. They just wanted me to be me and just be there for them.
Mm-hmm.
So it's crazy because then once you stop creating all of these crazy expectations for yourself and how your life should be, and you just start simplifying how your life should actually be, then, you know, paradoxically things then start to happen for you even more, which is crazy. So, you know, probably just stop trying so hard.
Yeah, I suppose that'd kind of go hand in hand as well. If you're constantly, you know, if you were to go into business like you were saying earlier on, and shit went sideways, and you're already fueled by a wee bit of anger, or you know, that wouldn't have went so well for you. So it was
definitely not. I wouldn't have, in the mind frame that I was in, I wouldn't have dreamed of opening a business. I wouldn't have dreamed of doing all these things. You know, probably my level of expectation would have thought, you know, these things should just happen for me. When we know the reality is that that's never going to happen. You know, you got to take action, and you know, when you get that peace of mind, then anything is possible. What about you?
In terms of life, like I've always kind of found myself bouncing from one thing to another, and you know, and now I'm settled and I know what I want to do and the direction that I want to take it in and stuff. Again, like I said, you know, don't be afraid to let go of whatever you're doing if you want to pursue something differently. But obviously, you're going to be working hard. You gotta remember, I think, to take time to unwind and enjoy life, basically. So there's going to be people who are listening who are either thinking of opening a business, or they're working within a business and they're working all these crazy hours, especially whenever you're building something from the ground up. So whether you're opening a gym or you're a personal trainer who's only just getting started, you're going to be going, you know, 6 o'clock in the morning right through to 10 o'clock at night, a few hours sleep, and then up and repeating it. You're trying to build a business, and you're trying to build, you know, you probably initially think that you're going to be bettering your financial life, and you know, things like a nice house and a nice car, and eventually leading up to building a family. Not everybody, but if that's one of the things that you're after, then if you're working all these crazy hours, when are you going to enjoy that? When are you going to enjoy the money that you're making? When are you going to enjoy the car that you've bought with the money? And when are you going to actually have the time to go out, meet a partner, start a family, and live in this house and stuff? So as much as it is important to put the hard work in and work towards your dream and your passion, you gotta schedule time to enjoy life. Make your business work around your life rather than your life around your business. Yeah, I think that would be one of the main takeaways, because it's very easy to be stressed out, especially whenever your life can happen from your mobile phone, and your mobile phone's in your pocket. Businesses can be run on a mobile phone. So you know more than anybody, I'm sure. Like, your phone's constantly bleeping or making noises and stuff, and it's so easy to dip the hand into the pocket and you're lost there for 10-15 minutes, and then another bleep comes along, and the next thing it's a couple of hours and you've been working from your phone and you don't even see that time going by. Exactly. Now you add that into a couple of days at a time, a couple of weeks at a time, and then you're exhausted, run yourself into the floor. Alright, you've probably made a few quid, but you haven't done anything to enjoy.
Do you know this year, on average, people spend, on average, in their lifetime, 5 years and 4 months on their phone.
Wow.
5 years and 4 months. That's 46,000 751 hours
Holy shit.
on their phone.
So that's like what a handful of hours a day. So if you wanted to, because I remember you talking about, you brought over Max Shank from America, and he was saying, you know, I gave up watching TV. I get rid of my TV because I was just sitting binge watching Netflix or movies or whatever the hell it was. And he goes, you know, if I was doing that, that's like 2-3 hours a day that I could have been learning a musical instrument or learning. Well, he'd done a couple of courses, didn't he? He did like a couple of degrees or something as well.
So the thing is that, you know, I think it's Malcolm Gladwell, the Outliers.
Yes,
that's the dude's name, isn't it?
Yeah.
So
this is the amount of hours that people spend on
10,000 hours.
Yeah.
So if you take those 10,000 hours, well, that's, you know, if you take the 5 years and 4 months in a lifetime, which people average spend on their phone, that's almost 5 10,000 hour blocks.
Yeah.
So that's 5 skills that you could master in the time that you spend on
your mobile phone.
So by the time, all of those years that you spend on social media, you could have learned an instrument, you could have learned a language.
Yeah.
Like you could have
opened another business.
Like you could have written a book.
Yeah.
That's like, there's 4 things that you could have done with your life.
Yeah.
Of the time you spend on social media.
Yeah.
That's insane.
And that's probably for the majority of people. That's just in terms of social media, just socially.
Yeah.
It's not even counting into the amount of hours that someone who works on social media, you know, like fitness industry, gyms and stuff, promoting their business and stuff. That's probably just talking about people who go on Instagram and just scroll and scroll and scroll.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. So your I suppose your takeaway is then, Steve-O, you know, don't spend so much time on social media, even though social media wasn't really that big back then.
Yeah, and just relax a little bit.
Yeah.
You know, like you push, you kind of like what you were saying, you push yourself so hard, you have expectations of yourself, and it's easy to just get stressed out. Just take a wee step back and enjoy it every now and again. You know, schedule time for your life rather than schedule another meeting.
Yeah, love that, man. So just a sort of, you know, just a recap on what we kind of spoke about today. So in terms of, you know, fitness, you know, there is no one size fits all approach. You know, we've been about this game for a long time now, and you know, we've seen things come and go, and that, you know, at one time this was the greatest thing since sliced bread, but now it's gone.
Yeah.
You know, and we see this all the time. So, you know, just basically take what works for you and try not to dismiss the rest, you know, because it may come back around.
Yeah, and take a bit of responsibility about it as well.
Yeah.
You know, like a lot of people just need to start.
Yeah. In business, you know, don't be afraid to let shit get messy, and make sure that you take that leadership role from within. You know, even if you don't run a business, make sure that you do your 100% best, to the best of your ability that you can, in order to both grow yourself and the business that you're working in, regardless of, you know, how small the job is.
Yeah.
Yep. And then finally, you know, on life, I think we sort of came to the sort of mutual agreement there is that, you know, just relax a little, you know, okay, set yourself expectations, but don't be too hard on yourself if, you know, shit goes sideways, and, you know, these things happen in life.
Yeah.
Cool? Leave it there, man?
Yeah.
Okay, so thanks for listening to episode number 3. And as always, look, if you enjoyed the episode, I want you to share it with a friend and give us a 5-star rating.
Thank you very much, guys. See you next time.